Hi, and welcome to the BookishStitcher Podcast. My name is Jeanette. You can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, and Goodreads as BookishStitcher, all one word. I hope you've had a wonderful week since I last podcasted. I have had a very good but very busy one. My husband's parents are in town, my in-laws, and they're staying with us for 2 weeks, so I'm a little bit behind on everything Ravelry related. I have a giant inbox of, not giant, I have some Ravelry messages that I need to reply to a few. So if you haven't heard back from me with a message recently, that's why. We have company in town and we're busy doing board games and talking about history stuff because my mother-in-law is a history professor and I am a very big lover of history. So we're spending nights discussing different things. And so I have been only on Ravelry for about 5 minutes a day, and I've tried to reply to one or two people and one or two people on the threads on the Ravelry group for the podcast. But I will catch up. Probably next week I'll be a little bit slow too because they're still going to be here. And then I'm going to my knitting retreat. This Wednesday I will be leaving, so it's just 2.5, 3 days, and I will be having fun knitting and relaxing with friends, and I'm really excited. So I will show you guys what you all came here to see, my knitting and spinning. First finished object I have was done with some mustache yarn. And this is the Elsa and Anna colorway. And I finished my socks. They're just done with the plain sock with kiss lips, fish lips kiss heel, and I really like them. I think they're lots of fun and the colors are really pretty. The next thing I have is a giant pile of hats to show you guys. As I said, the retreat that I'm going to does different knit-alongs, and one of the ones that runs the entire time is knit preemie caps or chemo caps or caps for homeless. And so I've been knitting up a whole bunch of caps for the homeless to give to them when I go to the retreat. And I haven't been showing them on the podcast as much. I was just going to show you when I finish them all. So it's kind of now, but it's a very large stack. Yay! Huge stack of hats that still need their ends sewn in. I was hoping to get 10 done, but I'm not going to have made that. But I think, how many do I have? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I have one more on my needles, so it'll be 8 total. So it was kind of close to my goal. I didn't exactly meet it, but I am happy that I got all those done and that I'm going to be taking them, and hopefully they'll go to good use at the homeless shelter that they're going to. That's all my finished objects, and those hats were not knit all this week. They've been knit over several months, so I didn't knit that much this week. The other thing I have is the last hat that I'm not going to have time to do more than just this last one, but this is in my You Sew and Sew bag, and I was knitting on a hat this morning while drinking coffee, and I just noticed, the thing I love about this bag is I keep noticing other things that are really cute. So if you look up in this corner, there are little hearts by all the narwhals. I think that's really adorable. In this bag, it's my last hat. And it's just done with scraps. Purple and navy. And then I have another thing that I worked on this week, and I did a lot considering, but it doesn't look as much, I guess. And this is my Casey's Pockets to Go bag. And it is my Iberian Discovery by Stephen West. And the yarn I'm using is some Malabrigo worsted in this water green color. And I have just a tiny little bit of the first skein left. It's very minty green. And this is a single ply yarn, so it's really soft and incredibly squishy. And I don't know if you'll notice, but last week I was right here. And it looks like I may have only done that little bit. But the way the pattern is designed, you use short rows to grow out the length a lot. So I actually knit almost 100 rows on this because I did the short rows on both sides. So last night I moved it over from a smaller cable to this cable because it's on interchangeable, and it still is kind of scrunched up on here. But it's going to be so soft when it's, well, it is so soft, but it's going to be so soft and cushy when it's done. And it will be perfect for wrapping around myself when I'm reading at night. I'm going to get some of my iced coffee. My husband and I got to go and have a date since my in-laws are in. We just got back from that. That's why I'm recording a little bit later in the day. But we went to a coffee shop and did a whole bunch of different things. And at the coffee shop, I saw this mug, and I had to have it because it's so gorgeous. Isn't that pretty? And inside is the most happy color yellow. It's a lot brighter and cheerier than it's showing up on camera. I loved it. I saw it and I had to have it. That is all of my works in progress. My kids are actually hanging out with Nana and Papa right now, having frozen yogurt, and my husband's getting some work done because he has a lot of work he has to catch up on. Before I go to the retreat, he's kind of got to have everything ready. Now on to spinning. Well, okay. I guess before spinning, I'm going to talk about retreat knitting because these things aren't quite on the needles yet, but they're going to be soon. Since I'm going to the retreat, I can't take my Hitofude, which I didn't work on it all this week, not even a single row. And I can't take that to the retreat because I will mess it up. I can't talk to people and knit at the same time. I'm not skilled like that. And the shawl also has a lot of complicated short rows that you're doing. Well, they're not complicated. I've done a few 2 or 3 Stephen West patterns before, and most of them you just have to pay attention. In this shawl, you definitely have to pay attention because there are different sections that do different things. So I need something at the retreat that I can knit that is just stockinette, just straight knitting. So I put a call out to see which color of striped socks I should knit next. And this one was, I already chose this one. I think this is majority. And it's Knitter's Nightmare, Sally's Dress. And I got this at the retreat last year. And it's this gorgeous colorway. This was actually the one skein at the retreat that I really, really wanted to get. And it's Sally's Dress, of course, from Nightmare Before Christmas. It's a very good rendition of the dress. And that will become just self-striping socks. The next thing that I have that I'm going to be starting before I go to the retreat so I can work on it while I'm there is this yarn, which I actually won at a yarn crawl, I believe. It is Saki, and the colorway is Nevada, and it's a prism yarn. And I'm going to be using this to make a sock head hat for my brother as a Christmas present. I laid out a whole bunch of my sock yarns that I thought were manly colors, and I asked my husband, I said, which of these says my brother to you, or says, because my brother is extremely manly guy. He probably wouldn't like any non-manly colors. That's just kind of how he is. He rides a motorcycle, all that kind of, as you can probably think. But my husband picked this one, so that will become a sock head hat for my brother for Christmas, because got to start thinking about getting those done. And then next I have spinning. I may not have been doing a lot of knitting this week, but I have been running away to spin. And since I discovered that you can take the fiber and prep it in a way to almost make it pencil roving, it spins so fast. I have a lot of spinning done. I just have been really enjoying it. I was telling my husband on our date today that I had always liked spinning, but ever since discovering a couple things, like Melon B told me to spin it all on one bobbin and then ply from that, make it into a cake, and then ply from that, and it eliminates any waste. And then, since I've learned how to make pencil roving for myself, all the things that were kind of things that I didn't really enjoy about spinning have been completely erased. And now I am in love with it, and I just love doing it so much. So I have a lot to show you. The first one is, I showed you guys the singles of this last week. I've been using my bobbins that came with the wheel to ply. And this is going to be a gift for a friend. I still have to give it a bath, but I think it's gorgeous. And I really hope she likes it. I'm going to be seeing her soon. Most of my spinning this week was gifts because I think hand spun is something really special. If you have a friend that likes to knit but they don't spin, hopefully they'll like hand spun. And I don't know how much the yardage is on that because I haven't given it its bath or anything like that. Next one I have is also a gift for a friend. And this was some Fiber Addiction yarn, or roving, in the colorway Freak Like Me. And Melissa, you were commenting on this Fibers picture that you would like to see how it spun up. So I did. I spun it up, and you can see now. And I would never have expected. I put a picture of this up on Instagram and up on our Ravelry group for the Bookish Stitcher Podcast. And I would have never thought that the fiber would turn into this yarn, because the fiber had little bits of black, but it was very, very vibrant, almost if you imagine a galaxy. It was gorgeous. And this is gorgeous too, but it's a lot more subtle than I thought. And it's a worsted. I tried to spin a worsted because my friend does not like to, the friend that this is going to, that I'm also going to see at the retreat, she does not like fingering weight. And the last bobbin, surrounded by so much spinning, is something I spun for me. This is some Cloud Lover in the Mother of Dragons colorway. It's an MCS merino cashmere silk, and it's so beautiful. I said last week, I showed you guys it's the singles, it reminds me of a beach. And this, I know that it will plump up when I give it its bath, but for right now, it's, I don't know if you can see that, it just looks so bright because of the light, but it's about, I would say a DK weight, which I am fine with because I have never knit with lace weight. I just, fingering weight is as much as I kind of desire to do, because I can do lace shawls in fingering weight as well. So that's perfect for me. But this has blues and cream and sandy brown color and then gray. And it's very subtle and elegant and gorgeous, and I loved spinning it. That's all the plied yarn, so those three. And that's very good because I only have 3 of those bobbins for plying on. Sorry, I'm thirsty. The next thing I worked on was some spinning for my mom. I let her pick out, my mom knits occasionally, once or twice a year, but I let her pick out one of my fibers, and I asked her, you know, how would you like it spun? I can't guarantee anything, but, you know, how would you like it? And she picked this color, which was Fiber Obsession's Color of the Month Pond Jump. And this has a funny story behind it because I got this fiber, I think 4 or 5 years ago, and I didn't even think I would ever spin at the time, but I liked this fiber so much that I said if I ever do spin, I want to have this fiber. It's kind of silly, but in the negative respect to that, I did not know how to store fiber. Those of you that spin or know where this is going. I did not know how to store fiber, so I just threw it in a bucket and put stuff on top of it, and this was very hard to draft. Even though it was a 50-50 merino silk, it was hard. But I'm glad that it's done, and now I know how to store fiber properly. But this is on one of my Acreworks bobbins, which I love, and it's so shiny because of the 50-50 silk and merino. It's mostly blues with hints of brown, which my mom loves blue. And it's very funny because you can tell how much my color tastes have changed just from when I started buying these fibers, because Most of my older fibers are blue with some other colors. There's not any purple in any of my older fibers. And now I do use a lot of purple in my spinning and knitting. I think my mom's going to love that. I still have to ply it. Plying takes a long time when it's skinnier yarn. And the last thing that I spun this week, some Cloud Lover. And that other one that I showed you, the Mother of Dragons, the really pretty subtle one, was also a Cloud Lover. The next thing I plan to spin is a Cloud Lover. Most of my older braids are Cloud Lovers, and I'm just trying to use them up. And Cloud Lover, to be honest, is amazing spinning fiber. I love it. And this is a color that I got because it was on clearance, and it is St. Bartleby's, and it's 60% merino, 30% bamboo, 10% nylon. That's what it looks like. It has a coral color, it has blue, very pretty green and white, and some bits of brown. You can see. I loved spinning this. I think it's going to be gorgeous yarn. I don't have any idea what I'll make with it. I'm going to acquire quite a pile of hand spun after Tour de Fleece. I would have never thought. I've blown past my original goal, which was 3 braids. I've already done 5 braids, except for 2 of them haven't been plied yet. But I'm really happy with myself for pushing through. And we have, in the Ravelry group right now, a Tour de Fleece thread up. It's just unofficial, just in the group to kind of chat and show them stuff you're working on. And if you need inspiration, there are some amazing spinners in our group. And I completely suggest that you go over and look at it if you'd like to, because I am loving seeing all of these spinning pictures. And I decided what I'm going to do at the end of Tour de Fleece is I'm going to get a braid of fiber at the retreat that I'm going to, and I'm going to randomly select, when the tour is over, a winner from the chatter thread to win a braid of fiber. So if you're a spinner, come on over, join the group, the Bookish Stitcher Podcast, show off your spinning, and you can win a braid of fiber when the tour is over, because I am just enjoying that thread so much, and I love seeing all the things. And if you're not a spinner, then maybe you might want to consider becoming one. I know some people have been telling me that I've made them want to pull out their drop spindles, and they should. Drop spindling is how I started. And I would say just keep practicing at it. And most importantly, I guess, be consistent. Even if it's just 5 minutes a day that you can practice, that is better than once a week doing it and then not doing it for another 10 days or something. Just the even tiny amount of consistency will help you get your spinning better. And that is all of my spinning. Now for enabling, I don't have anything again that I have purchased. I haven't gotten any yarn for myself, bought myself. My husband has gotten me some for anniversary a long time ago, but I can't remember when I last did. It's been weeks and weeks because I've just been saving up for the retreat. I am so excited about the market. I keep going and looking at the thread where the vendors are showing what all they're going to have there. And speaking of that, I talked about that our podcast anniversary is coming up, and I'm just going to go ahead now and open a thread for that because I want people to have as long of time as possible to enter. I don't want anybody to be left out because I feel horrible when, somebody doesn't see the episode for a while and then they miss out. So I'm going to open that up today, and it will be at SSK, the Super Summer Knit Together. I'm going to go to the market there and pick up a couple prizes for that. I don't know what, probably a project bag, probably a yarn, maybe some knitting cute stuff, just different stuff. I'm not sure. I'll just kind of grab whatever strikes me at the moment. But in order to enter for that, you can go to the Ravelry group for the Bookish Stitcher Podcast, and then I think the sun is hiding, so it's going to get darker. And then go and enter. And what I thought would be fun would be just say your favorite moment of the podcast in the past year, or something that you really love about the podcast, anything like that. Just something happy and positive and uplifting. I would appreciate and love those things. And that thread will stay open for a long time. I'm looking at my calendar right now. Let's say the first time I record in August, or maybe the second. I'll decide, but you have a while, either the first or the second time I record in August. So it would either be August 3rd or August 10th. But you'll have a while, probably August 10th. But I'll put that up and you can go and enter, and I'll show the prizes for that when I come back next week from the retreat. So since I didn't have anything that I got myself, I did get a lovely package in the mail this week from Yarning for a Smile, who is one of my really awesome internet friends who's so sweet. And she sent me some beautiful things. She sent me some tea. There's a whole bunch of little tea packages in there. This is the one that I'm really going to try first. It's a white tea. It's a peach honey, and it looks really good. And then she sent me some mini skeins for my blanket. And this is a Madeline Tosh unicorn tail in the coquette color. It's beautiful. And this is a unicorn tail in the cathedral color. This I would love to do a featherweight out of or something. It's so pretty. I love it's variegated, but it's very subtly variegated. So I just think it's so pretty. And then this one made me smile. She sent me, it's Wisdom Yarns Marathon Socks, North Pole, Balsam Fir. And she put a little note that she made her very first pair of socks out of this. And I just think it's so special that that she sent that to me, because this is her first socks. And I love that this is going to be on my blanket, and I can think of it, like look at it and think of her and smile. It's her very first pair of socks. So thank you so much. And I need to show you guys my sock yarn blanket because I haven't. I've been adding little squares, 1 or 2 a month, so it's not really far along, but it's a very pretty green sparkle and white yarn. That's all the enabling. Now for group news. This is the last week for the Cat's Eye Margaret Atwood read-along that we're doing with Robin, and I think there's just like 120 pages left in the read-along, and I'm currently caught up. I'm going to try and finish up before I go to the retreat because I have a library book copy and I need to get it back to the library. But the book is really good. Well, it's very different than a lot of other Atwoods I've read. It really surprises me how much she's grown as an author. It's definitely not my favorite of hers, but it's been an interesting read so far, and I'm not done with it, so it could definitely get even better. And then the other thing we have going on in the group right now is our finger weight yarn cal. So anything that you have knit with fingering weight yarn, it could be held double, anything. It could have been a whip. Just as long as you have finished it in June or July, you can enter, and there's going to be some yarn from Undead Yarns, my friend Heidi, who does beautiful yarn, and a bag from Awesome Granny, and there's going to be a pattern donated from my friend Susanna for Susanna I See, and that is running till the end of July. And then our next knit along, I've kind of been thinking about for a little while. I want to know what you all think about it, but I thought we would do a little ones knit along. And now what that means is knit something for a little one. It can be for a charity. You could knit a chemo cap. You could knit a preemie cap. You could knit something for one of your kids, for niece or nephew, for a gift box. I love to have a gift box. So if a friend just has a baby, if I get invited to a baby shower, has something ready, it doesn't even have to be a human little one. For our favorite color cal, Tanya, Celestia22, knit a sweater for a goat, and it was an automatic, the cutest thing ever. So if you want to knit a little sweater or anything like that for your goat or your dog, I don't think my cats would wear them, but maybe yours would, but anything for a little one. And I haven't decided yet about entering one or more objects in that. I'll kind of think about that. But just be preparing anything that you want to knit for a little one. That is all of the knitting side of the podcast. Let me take a drink before I get onto the book. Okay, the book this week is The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton. And this book was not at all what I thought it would be. If you guys remember, I got it last October, I think, or November from a bookstore, and I hadn't read it till now. It's about Nella, who leaves her home in the country and goes into Amsterdam to be with this husband that she's married in almost a secret ceremony, not a very big one. She hasn't even seen him much, and his name is Johannes. And she gets to his house and finds that his sister, who is Marin, is still living there, and that Marin is kind of ruling over the house. And she quickly finds that Johannes is not what she thought he would be. And he buys her this little house, and it's a miniature replica of their actual house. And she hires somebody to make little furniture and different things for it, but the miniaturist starts sending things that she didn't ask for that are kind of unlocking mysteries to her life. And it's very interesting. The book kind of, if you read the excerpt, makes it sound, to me it made it sound a little bit more like there might be a relationship between the miniaturist and Nella, but that's not what actually happens in the book at all. It's a very big novel about women and the roles they had and the suffering they had to go through when they don't have very much power, and it also deals with different gender stuff and how things were treated at certain times, because it was, 1686 was the year that the book, it's a historical fiction. But it's The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton. And I would say for this one, I enjoyed it. I would say rent it or get it from the library. If it sounds like something that might interest you, I definitely wouldn't say go out and buy it. I bought it, obviously. The cover was gorgeous, but I will not be keeping it. I think I will be donating it to Goodwill, or we're thinking about doing the tiny library. I don't know if you've seen that, but building a tiny library for our park. And it's this thing where you build like a mailbox and you put in your books and you say take one, leave one. So it kind of creates this love of reading around the neighborhood community. And I'm really thinking I'm going to go through my books and make a tiny library. My husband's going to use some wood and build it. And then I'll put some books in, and I think that would be, I'm really excited about that idea. And I definitely have enough books to put in that I can donate for a tiny library. I was talking to Jen, Ironical Knitter, about how when you move, you realize you have more things than you thought, and we're pretty minimalistic. We don't like to have a lot of stuff. Before the kids' birthdays and everything like that, I make them go through and get rid of a lot of toys. But books and yarn, trying to find something to show, are two things that I do have a fair amount of. And I guess that's kind of like what brings you joy, you have a fair amount of. And I was actually wondering and ask you guys this week for a question, because I want to occasionally do questions. Do you have anything like that you have more of in your house than other things? Like, are you a gadget person, or do you like to cook a lot, so you have a lot of different cooking things? Do you probably have a lot of yarn, probably have a lot of books? Maybe you love shoes or clothes or gardening stuff. There's tons of different hobby stuff that you could be in love with. And I would love to know what yours are. I think that is everything for this week. Again, I am going to be going to the Super Summer Knit Together Wednesday, which is July 15th. Probably, if you're watching this and you're going to be there, I've probably met you before at the retreat last year, but who knows? I don't know how many people, I know kind of how many people watch, but so you could be watching this and have never met me. So if you see me at SSK and would like to, I would love to meet you and come say hi. I am an introvert, so I will not be in the throng of things, being outgoing. I will not be like that. I will probably be off to the side, sitting with a couple friends. That's more My style is having deep, intimate conversations with 2 or 3 people. But come over and say hi. I would love to meet you and just get to know you. And remember that I don't know what you look like, but you know what I look like. Just tell me your name and so that I can, meet you. And that is everything for this week. I hope you guys have a wonderful week and that you get to do all the things you love. Okay, bye.